Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Malinga mi ankol kal konton al token dol nal konton kendol nal badi ma lagi dama lem air spin banko kan sal sata kono bi fana mutana kana ka kibaru fton dal min findina banko kan angalew aning manika kan nyindo you are follow men findida standard newspaper CEPRASS komen ye nyata siya ke kola de komen ko nunto e memfo adam barola kanyola koto ate kukilongola mu so alambaro la dibitol ya jike ko sai to lemol men nginin ga Gambia banko kan jama ko alambaro be afuta nyawnya si latan sa dibitol la karola bo sotla dibite bung nyintol UDP bol no kan NRP aning APRC komen prediction olem mirolem itoli olem mira par membe mutare molbulu ikono kono imolo ministry bunda mata funding ke wala nim bala banyoto fiala ye contract ko sign o agreement o sign enin ka fome ka fa UMBRO ni wala li teben kambe sign nimboto men tamu troko men dinnu ba borndi kan apprenti o fo waselta gele kan faraba ay mo tanning saba niyota o lod lata jeto inadna do findindi fananko ko mo kilim fata ko daga kata mo tannin na ko ya alaman hajibe ya alaman kodola yemin dante komen ana ye amount o ngamera ye 100,000 ame kawle funu Magistrate Peter Odo ki brikamala Magistrate Court ni komen ayinin keo muta komen Momodu Fay menta mu moto nyinti troko nyi me motanin saba fa accident of Faraba in last month kiti amuta le bari atella fault mo kamoto bula dinno nyim bulu so ya fine men na bina findlale mba yela nin dunta diesel so nyin kono yo nimboto standard hanbi kibardo eko baro ye kumantro ki Gambiano la pro ese kartro fay ala patio nyi nga continue hanbi IEC itan di Gambia de wala ko ye tamayan ni na ko in katre fo be Senegalale anim fana be tilin Henry Gomez men advisor at State House Trace Pras aboita kotengede back at Dabo mutraka kumakaun furandi Dabo ma Henry Gomez says he is more competent comme ate mem fujambata ajibe Henry Gomez hit back at Dabo, says he is more competent, atla competent ngalong katambi Dabo la ajibe. Presidential advisor Henry Gomez has responded to UDP leader Usainu Dabo, who recently described him as a incompetent and an appendix person. Going ajabi kan komeng la Usainu Dabo memfo la quoto. Coming presidential advisor member ko ate ajabi wala ko atele competenta comme ninku matele moti me do kono abe menke kan katambi dabola yo han bi nga konte kitilla ikafo NEA staff ya charge coming with 11 million economic crime coming jalaso million tanning cling along ay tinyaro leke ela doku langin katanga jibe. This acronym mean prosecutor in Banjul have filed multiple charges against the Director of Administration and Head of Finance at the National Environment Agency. Wala mu atewe do kola nandanda la men martala ila agency nye kodole nju jaje to men kodo siata bake 11 million tang aning killing komen standard ya itan yamen komen meya case nyim file prosecutor nyin asamba kitilla o dayilo le kan o nimbodo ngata point yin seba kafol men besirim bantala min tara fo kafufula ka fo civil society organizational men kafta nyoma ye kumandroke na katre fay kordala ko san den komen wolin do ko non men fo membe ko dukanyola nimmo koton membe ko je Gray Johnson nyol ko in fana murto ko kilo kay nin dukanyoli ko IEC nyanda NPP suspend nale komen kela logning nyanta ka bay manyana kalon na katre fawta ani ela candidato la fonko tutu ela candidato ye tutu manyana kalo na in katre fawta because abebe den ne munela startol le tinya membe den na katre fay startol la congresso e maki kabring patielo ta sanji fulani mfeng honorable CC abe jikirin ko iba tala kote kile UDP la dibiron be sera kunda yo ifanan jang CEPRASS yol fanan ateo kukilong yola bondi ko survey reveal government failing in major sectors walang bari so survey men getting in CEPRASS ye optimism di ko barobe sidlatan sabo sotla dibitol kono bari ni abotola mol ye kuma kan men fo nginin karo men ke mansakunda la karola kilinte je mol kontanta adam barola administration la karo men ko jang because sepra yin kafo yin ye fintindro ke mansakunda pro aboita ku jama la dinkral to men ame keno banku dingoli comme jang yo itandi wota ka continue kunun belangaje Burkina Faso ila ex leader comme la mansa kotonyin ya sorong life imprisonment comme Blaise Compaoré comme ate Thomas Sangare ak fango kafunyo ay men fa nyala men jawyata ay kidibla amuta anyanta asiyoto kala kasoto Burkina Faso yo monani fanan iko sabita minna yemuta ko nyamola be bul nyamo men loi mensonala kafo men fanan o nsafo fo philanthropy lem fo company lem bang ye moto fula anin joran dol mbe ko Brikama area council nyim moto men ka nyamo ko ben anin ala nyama korang pano dol yo mansakundai mano soto kabonan Japan in karo min tabita da tilimuan nin konon dole ngalafta da Gambia garant Japan dalta wati ka mano min di kabring mansakunda kotol in do seta min noto but comme garant lem asikeno adita nyamen abe jolale maybe atekela jorti min asekulia bake bari imaitandi ko fo ye soro ya ke soro te bang fo ya wafi male o ye don tala le pro ya wafi se la kodo sayndila bari ko ba wafi la Ministry of Agriculture ye wala fo e ko bina fala mole abe price o nyimbe kala nyame mano nyi Japani mendi Ministry bunda me marta police la nim banko kono kola ka fay interior ol fanan e bota denkrato be damen ka fo tenda ba comme Gabriel assessment o ke fo e paret yo katari fanan philanthropy so e fengol di domoro men tata fo million fula wuli kemelul ay wala di mbaya la Gambia bankoka Ministry of Health yibe director Ministry of Health ko no higher education rather because MOHERST validate first national research policy of the Gambia comme na ministry bonda marra karambon santon kola ye ila validation o kele comme ka cool valor ka jibe ila doku men yake membe ko research wala kiskisrola o ferol men be laring Gambia ka boto Turkish wala ministry men marra la banko police wala ning banko la tanko kono kola ye fengol di membe ko tanko fengol jorangol ka men security equipment ya di jumale la wala mun na sojarol la kunda nyinto so gina mu kibarol men fintita point news bangata standard news ba ila kibar follow men la fitaka karangale nim mbototo sinana komen nga itandi nyame nga highlight nyame nse blano kan wo nyama yo mbali ngolo ina mu kibarol nyanda ka men futan lalla bi wato so menna nimma be fono fanan dante damen yanin telen nan anin tala ma fangola ba katala purunsi jama konkano angalaw ni manika count but mba follow la komen ka kenyame angalaw ani manika count the headline: CEPRASS predicts NPP victory again. This one by Isa Tamba, Standard Reporter, read by Hajalama Air Radio Salgeruno, Spain. Domestic election pollsters Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies, CEPRASS, has again predicted that the governing National People's Party will win majority of seats in Saturday's National Assembly elections. Last year, the body forecasted a landslide for the NPP in the presidential election, which came to pass with President Barrow winning over 50% of the votes. According to CEPRASS recent poll, the NPP is expected to win 30.19% of the 53 contested seats, followed by UDP 26.42%, inconclusive 18.87%, NRP 9.43%, Independent and 7.52%, PDOIs 3.77%, APRC 1.89%, and PPP 1.89% too. CEPRASS disclosed that a total of 1,231 households, which was increased to 1,354 to account for oversampling, were sampled. The 1,354 rather households were divided into 53 constituencies in accordance with the proportion of registered voters in the constituencies. The survey also revealed that 66% of respondents agree that the government is not committed to address corruption in the Gambia, while respondents view anti-corruption legislation 78% and constitutional amendment 64% as the most critical issues that the sixth legislature should address. It also said that a significant majority, 85% of the respondents across all regions, believe that the government has not done enough to stabilize prices. Moreover, 67% believe that the performance of the economy is not satisfactory, while respondents in Banjul are more dissatisfied with the new government's performance in the economy than in other regions, the survey revealed. According to the survey, most respondents, 52% in LRR and NPR, the strongest farming communities in the country, disagree that the new government is interested in helping farmers while 53% of respondents believe that the government handling of the groundnut sale is not satisfactory. On crime, the CEPRASS survey revealed that domestic crime rates are increasing, with 76% of the respondents saying so in the KMC, CRR, and BCC area. The survey also revealed that dissatisfaction with the economic forces is greatest in West Coast region and LRR nationally. 55% of the respondents are not happy with their country, and in the same vein, more respondents believe that the new government is now not interested in security sector reform, the survey revealed. A substantial majority of respondents in the polls, 81%, disapprove of the government's decision to grant fishing license to EU and China, while half of the respondents believes that the Gambia-Senegal relationship is exploitation of the Gambia. Trust of the judiciary remains high, as 60% of respondents reported that the Supreme Court ruling on election allegation was satisfactory. A considerable proportion of respondents included in the polls, 47% hold the view that government is not committed to women leadership, while 35% hold a different view to the majority. The survey concluded there. Speaking at the dissemination of the findings yesterday, the executive director of CEPRASS, Lamin Damfa, told journalists that the new political dispensation that emerged in 2017 has led to the promotion of domestic values such as freedom of speech and promotion of human rights, independence of the judiciary, and political pluralism. It ends a station. Don't go back momentarily after a short jingle. Yo mari nga continue kibar following current member standard newspaper komen kibar kon be falen mandika count le so manjara nga muraka mande count ko tek in kibaro nyi membe ko menika yinkaro ke komen molla mirola hani molla jernyala komen kolmen kana prediction ko ya jiki fanan ko take tukunde ko NPP lebe mo jama député jama sur la nyin carte fao men kanate sika foy kafome CEPRASS le kuma kan fo men safi Aisha Tamba wala futandi standard la kibar bunda nyinto ila kibar talani sa ngadun kibaro nyum kono memba karankan la jarama e radio spin banko kan sasanal dunta na Facebook channel me benje kan jetani na YouTube channel alien subscribe alien follow in blal beto iko kafo me banko kan domestic election pollster center nyin ke kumandi wala fo policy ferola anin kiskisrola kola fe menin ka kolandi men be ko ka karango ke kola ka men strategic studies ke kumandi CEPRASS ko kota ke tugun imutade ye prediction okay predict neo moedrong e kuma fo membe na kila nyato komen ko membe maralola santen patio me ka fa NPP komen wolbe jama sur la in National Assembly carte fawo men kada itol lebe siran jama sur la in sibidlo men kanaten itol yemen fo komen itol yemen nyato si ka continue ko serum ne agibe atenyin ka fukelo nyin ila kol digita men kan no ye men fono o ye men fono ka itandi menen NPP ala landslide comme banko karobe talale ni nata president carte fawo nyinna comme woldun natna ke koti men e president Adam Barrow tambita nyamen men ay kemo kono sidla tallulu carte keso a wala soto Gambia la carte failal blokon itolie men itandi ila prediction no nyin ko wala natna kijer wala ne finta kota ketu kabriela kiskitol ni la ngin garol ke la foro to molie opinion men di ko nyin député carte fawo fanan parola parti nyin olebe siran jama sur la membita fo kemo kono sidla tansa 30%. sa foron 30% ñin 53 sirangol kono ka continue ye men yitande ay to ñin kafoñi ka foy CEPRASS sansanten comme ñin pulo men binaten ko NPP be yilarin ko wala be kanyaw sotla men bita fo percentage ke mo kono niya jibe ñin molmen be lolate mo tallul ni sabo kono in dibitol ten sidla tan saba anin tan nin kononto percentage la karola e be wala sotla dibitol la karola si round no botaje ko UDP sidla mo ni woro anin tan nani anin fula percentage wol be kono fanan ko niajibi sidla tan nin sey anin tan sey nin worowla percentage munati in dengral min ko mo inclusion as keno be sotno jeto UDP la karol but NRP 9.43% walam sidla kononto kada tannan nin sabay bolo sotla independent taw sidla worowla anin tallul nin nani PDOIS sidla saba tawrawla nin saba percentage APRC sidla killing anin tanse nin kononto percentage la karola PPP sidla killing tanse anin kononto percentage la karola comme itolien men fo inal nyanta ka soto nyin katre fawdo nyin patiol la karol adam baro sidla tan sabani domanni UDP sidla mo ni wora ni domanni anin fanan inclusion askeno fanan doy taraje askeno fanan tannin sey sidla tannin sey comme UDP la karol ngala ya amin waltol o NR UDP mari ka continue hanbi CEPRASS comme yemen itandi wala nginti ko membe kala ta fo korda wuli killing korda kema fula korda tansaba nin killing comme ol be mem fo wala nginti ko which was increased comme nyim wala nuntoti bara na lafa fo watata korda keme korda wuli killing korda keme saba talul aninan kabo wuli killing keme fula tansaba nin killing kordal ten amin natna lafa fo wuli killing keme saba talul aninan min yetandi ko tel las sample min di comme wala nginti ko to yallonde damen ko nyin korda wuli killing keme saba talulu anin nano comme were divided into comme niya yamin tala nyin siran tallul nin saba karte fay tundol kan comme yamin itandi ko with the proportion itolye men fo comme men registrata comme yajibe votal la karola wala karte falal men bo karte fay tundol kan yamin itandi comme la farola karola wuli killing keme fulanin tan saba nin killing kata fo wuli killing keme saba tallulu anin nani men kordal men yaji ko men talata nyin siran tallulo anin sabo tem ka continue eko ilayin sumandro me ya bonditen wala mu kemo kono sidla taworo anin woro men ye jabi comme wato men ye nyinin ka wol sonta nyinna ko man sakunda amang sobeya feren pour ka topotoro ke ko la membe ko jenko membe na banko ke ka mena corruption indi Gambia comme while respond comme be jabero ki kam menna wala mu dol ila jero la karola fango ko anti corruption legislation men loi men nyanta ka londi pour nyin jenko be Gambia banko kam men niake nyanta butela loi men na wala karola comme amallo Gambia banko ka wayati nako kemo kono sidla tang worowla anin sey comme niajibe wol diamoto ko la bakel anin fanan constitutional amendment o pour ka falindro ken na maral kitab banyindo sidla taworo anin nan mol diamoto fananale anin as most critical issues comme nginal mu din kral de men kol men koleata bake nyanda ka jeto jibe men kumata baba ke ka jibe ka dida nyin legislation woron jango men kanaten bari lulun jango walta mita woron jango men kanaten wolam député bungo nyanda kanyin kolta ke address ke topoto banko dengole konse bono nyin ngatangon men be wala karol ko mo jama yewole di anim fana la jero mu walti anti corruption legislation anim fana amendmento na banko maral kitabo nyin ko falindro nyanda kala ngino to baba kele ani ngindo ka o londi bare o man soto mo meke wala mu corruption o loi membe mo buti la ni tiaro ke bangola fewon ani fanan and member Eco said that a significant majority coming Jama Basur da member ko Kemoko Sidla Tang say Anil Lulu men Jabiro Koko Banko Lanyim Tundu Waraulo Bekang men be Larinko Najibe Mansakunda among Kokule ke Meng Isafoko Asinana ka tenkundro keno o ka londro ke dulato na bankola fengol dale ka men na stabilize prices obi tambirin kola fana mentara fo kemo kono sidla tawora anin sidla tawora anin wora ol bilarin kod ni ajibi bankola fanko ka tanya men amang kontane ba ke banko don la karo banko don man kontana la feren while respondents comme jabiro la karola mol men yengininka sako banjun na capital to wol more dissatisfied wol man kontane mume ke ni ajibe mansakunda la karola ni na bankola fanko kata nyamen in dinkra kotangol danyin tundi kotangol to teng banjun wol man kontane mume ke mansakunda ben na bankola fanko topoto ka nyame banyin ko le men itandi itol so be ye membon ka continue ye itan roge fanan ko ni atenyin men ye inkaro keten ko jama men ye tol jabi men tara fosi ke mo kono si latang lulu anin nan lower river region ngin tanin to lama fa la NPR ol komen damen ne agibe ngin senola karola men sembo wata bake ko banko kan wol imanso mume ko ni mansa kunda kuto meme sirindeng fo ay sulo sot laban pour ka senelal makoy comme ka aman sulo sot freng ni mentata fo kemo kono sidla tallulu anin saba of respondent comme men ni jabiro ke tolla ko be laren ko ni mansa kunda ayin tiasan a mara nyamen ko mu fennati man kontana akola mume ke in tiasango men terro men tambitaten in senelali men jabi membe ko kimo kono sidla talulu anin saba anin fana indom kuma in dinkral men be ko LRR an NBR kimo kono sidla talulu anin nan wol man kontana mume ke ko man sakunda puruka pare ka senelal makoy man pare wala feren a continue ni nata fanan kujaw kelo Gambia banko kan yin kafo CEPRASS yemen yin ka oto comme yemen fintindi comme banko kono kujaw men ka keje ala nankamo yin abe sela kam baba kele ni ajibe kemo kono sidla tang worowla ani woro comme jabiro la karola moliye menfo dinkral to men be ko kanifim municipal council ani Gambia tema CRR anin fana banyun sate ba nyin fon nyin kono anadan down comme ol be aytande ko criminal cause ya bata na banko kan nyin mansakunda koto men data fo kemo kono sidla tawrowla ani woro men ye jabi o kuma kawon so be continue ta tukum fana ye kuma bondro ke comme kontane baliala kolla men be ko economic wala mu Senegal sojarol ning na West Africa tilji sojarol men be Gambia banko kan dingrata dame ka fuje West Coast regional to anin LRR comme ko nyajibe nationally banko kan kemo kono sidla tallulu anin lulu jabiro la karola menu imam kontane mume ke nyajibe banko na banko yin anin fanan in the same being kuma ta nyakilin wala o komen men yi jabirol ke kuma belar men na ko that the new government komen mansakunda kuto yin is now not interested komen yi mansakunda ambisirin de arambarol mansakunda aman sulo soto frem banko la tanko ma fa wonyin na purka falindro kijeto ko belar nyamen banko kan sobe men itan yemen foy ko membe ko substantial majority ko men inketa feneti jama men siata bake men abe bambanning ka men ye jabiro ke ko la ko nyin carte fawnin membita fu kemo kono sidla tangsi anin killing wol di jabiro ke nyin kola ko nyajibe man kontane mume ke purumun na dron man sakunda ay simvalmenta purumun na ka laisino di pro bankol men be ko Europe anin fanan China pro kanyemuto kenna bakon anin fanan ko while half comme kono fanan talantew dol men be laren ko ne ajibi Gambia anin Senegal ila kafnyoya mu fenneti abi Gambia le tinya kan comme ya holia itan nyama amanke Gambia na fati Senegal na fata malabi anin fanan comme ninata lanna yala pour na kiti dula ngindo ka men judiciary remain comme obe nyaadi le obe santo fo kemo kono sidla tower of respondent comme men ye jabiro ke ko e report men di comme niaji be Supreme Court fanan ye simvamenta pour election allegation men keda teng santeng ko e okitio tenyame ko kontanta wala comme kemo kono itola foro kemo kono sidla jama taworol be wole fo ko Supreme Court ye menke karte fo nyin na tumiro nyin na karola wala beteat ni nata fanan eko kola membe ko chikantrola men watrabake considerable promotion comme ni nata molla men jabiro keten men bol kono ni ajibi comme pool olan karte fay dingral 47 olan sidla tannani anin warawla comme hold the view comme to le memuta ko Mansakunda is not committed. Mansakunda man pare puruka musol la nyanton kaya puruka sobe yake koto while okolala fanan utembola nindara fo kemo kono sidla tansaba anil lul wol ye jerinya kotle jala to the majority comme jamala karol ko yin sobe na dang woldo wato men fanan india mo be kering wa in kayin kibaro bondi ito le kisiro men ke kunun ye ole findindi journalisol ya foye ila executive director memu lamin damfati wole nyin kuma kan di journalisol la kunun that the new political dispensation of common something political ben na banko kan nyamen that image comme men that is anu kabrin 2017 nyimu fenita keta chikandola karola ninata na democratic value wala tramfambulo marlo men lo kata ito la foro ko kumayala karola such as freedom comme wala tramfambulo la nin kadiamu ila fita kadiamu nyamen tramfambulo kono anim fanan chikandola hadamado la nyanto anim fanan na kididla elbi fayi comme ka minna independent judiciary comme emendante aning political party yoning be fata in Gambia banku ga minna political pluralism to kuma kan wonin danta walto mina nyato da manni kibar katam fanan bari obe kala diaspora kol kuma kan wonati Sorry, the mic is mute. The headline, survey reveal government failing in major sectors by Chorna Omar Bob. Now the details. A survey conducted by the Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies, CEPRASS, has revealed that the Gambia government is failing in almost all sectors. CEPRASS, as part of efforts to strengthen democracy in the Gambia recently conducted surveys focusing on the performance of Barrow since re-elected and the parliamentary election at bringing to light key governance issues in the run-up to the 9th April polls. Presenting the findings funded by National Endowment for Democracy, NED, on Wednesday at Nana Conference Hall, Dr. Mustafa Jobati, a senior consultant for CEPRASS, said 66% of respondents interviewed disagree that the Gambia government is committed to addressing corruption. On health, the survey revealed that 52% disagree or think otherwise that government plan to increase access to health service. On education, the survey revealed that 60% of respondents said the Gambia education does not prepare students for job market. Prices have been increasing rapidly since the re-election of President Adama Barrow in December 2021. The government, though the central bank and its fiscal policy stance, can trigger price stability. However, 85% of respondents either disagreed or strongly disagree that the government has done enough to stabilize price, the survey revealed. Agriculture retained a critical role in economic growth in the Gambia, even as the share of services in GDP is increasing. Agriculture and related industries contribute to economic growth, employment, poverty reduction, food security, nutrition. But when asked if government is committed to supporting farmers, a substantial majority of respondents said they either disagreed or strongly disagreed. Farmers in the Gambia have said in the past that they will not sell their groundnuts to government on the grounds that government usually buys their groundnuts at a very low price. Crime levels in the Gambia have been relatively low historically. However, the National Guard was called on in June 2021 to stage day and night patrols in multiple areas in the support of the police. In response to a surge in murder and armed robbery, about 76% have reported that the level of domestic crime rate has either increased or increased rapidly. Security sector reform has been implemented in the Gambia since 2017. Policy framework has also been deployed or developed rather. However, 41% of respondents either disagreed or strongly disagreed that government is still interested in security sector reform. On decentralization, most respondents said government is not interested in subventing local governments. Half of respondents also said Gambia's bilateral relations with Senegal are exploitative and not beneficial to the Gambia. 49% of respondents respondents believes that government is not committed to women leadership. 52% of respondents declared that government performance on youth development is poor. The Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies, CEPRASS, is an academic and policy research institute based in the Gambia. The institute is mainly engaged in research consultancy and training for private and public institutions within the outside the Gambia. So this one, we are not going to read it in Mandinka because it's almost similar to the one from Standard Newspaper. So we are going to jump to another story after a jingle. Welcome back. Point in silver still. The headline. Two diaspora civil society organizations urge IEC to suspend NPP, nullify its candidates. It's a press from the societies. Read by Hajaram Radio Saljeronos. Now the details. A coalition of two civil society groups, the Right to Know Coalition Gambia, R2K Gambia, and the Domestic Union of Gambian Activists, DUCA, have tasked the Independent Electoral Commission to suspend the National People's Party, NPP, and nullify the nomination of all its parliamentary candidates for failing to hold Congress after 2 years of existence, which violates the Election Amendment Act. In a joint statement dated 3rd April and addressed to the IEC chairperson Aliu Momodou, the groups highlighted the Right to Know Coalition Gambia extends its greetings and compliment to you and the IEC. We write in the true spirit of partnership with the aim of assisting your commission better deploy its mandate at this critical time as the Gambia heads for National Assembly election. The statement states, Mr. Chairperson, the IEC's assume responsibility of upholding and adhering to its legal mandate and principles of integrity and fair play cannot be overstated. We realize the responsibility entrusted to it by the Constitution and the various legislative frameworks that legalize its existence. It is in the regard that the R2K Coalition Gambia wishes to inquire from the IEC as to why it has turned a blind eye to a clear violation of the Elections Amendment Act by the NPP, the party of the incumbent. The National People's Party was registered and established as bona fide political party on 31st December 2019 under your hand and stamp of approval. A year prior, your very office issued an ultimatum to all existing parties at the time to hold Congress, otherwise risk being suspended for violation the Election Act. Most parties scared to fall into compliance. However, the National Convention Party, NCP, according to your very office, fell afoul of the warning, and were therefore suspended on 18th January 2019. We would also wish to remind the IEC that in 2016, it disqualified the National Democratic Action Movement NDAM and the Gambia Democratic Party GDP for the same infractions. The IEC triggered Section B-127 of the Election Act and issued a 6-month suspension on the NCP for failing to hold a unified Congress. The question now arises as to why the IEC would not also show consistency and apply the rules and regulations on other parties that have also flouted the Amendment Act, it added. President Adama Barrow's party, NPP, has never held a Congress. We raised this in our letter of 29 October and were told that the regulations stipulate that it must be within 2 years. Order on unsavory things were said about us in your half-hearted rebuttal and the same distasteful responsible or response also came from the Minister of Information, Ibrahim Silla, and another NPP lucky both statement were insulting but not surprising, and that the NPP was less than 2 years old. The NPP has now surpassed that 24 months mark yet has not held a Congress. This gross infraction of the Election Act is a continuing violation as the IEC has allowed the illegality to endure unabated, the statement added. The IEC knew that the NPP never held a Congress yet, went ahead and accepted the party's nomination of candidates for the National Assembly election. The IEC was aware that President Adama Barrow's party, the NPP, never held Congress, yet turned a blind eye on the nationwide presidential campaign undertaken by the incumbent to boost his chances of electoral victory in the legislative polls, wantonly abusing state resources with impunity. The IEC was aware of these anomalies, yet was complicit in assisting the NPP evade the regulations set in the Election Amendment Act. These are the same laws the IEC has used to penalize less powerful and much smaller parties in the past. However, when it comes to bigger parties, particularly those belonging to the incumbent, the application of the rules is very different. The statement further stated that the IEC's motto of fair play, integrity, and transparency, which is oddly no longer prominently embossed on your web page, seems to have faded away in presentation, practice, and policy. We hereby call on the IEC to 1. Immediately suspend the National People's Party NPP for at least 6 months, as was applied to other parties for the same infraction, for violating the Election Amendment Act. 2. Immediately declare all approved applications of NPP candidates for the 2022 National Assembly election null and void. 3. Immediately inform the NPP that it must cease all political activities until it holds a Congress according to the Election Amendment Act and the suspension is lifted. Failure to do so will grossly undermine the credibility of the institution of the election regulator, and will further instill the line green doubts in the minds of the public and the electorates on the credibility of the April National Assembly polls. The 6 assemblies' credibility and legitimacy will be forever stained if the IEC refuses to abide by the laws of the land. The statement concluded there. Stay tuned. Don't go. We'll be back momentarily with a Mandinka segment after a short jingle. Yasama do continue ning point le benyola hansai in kibardo bota Gambia de ngolem besirim bante la kafufula ol diamta na IEC pro se NPP la candidate ka janjang ka patio suspend kari woro komen ye loi kilo men tamande pati kotangul kang ka bring emang na ka na election amendment loi me yadida emang comply la so kamala sai ko nyim futa jumal fana ma wolem NPP di nyanta to loi kilo tala ye busa o yarola comme ye patin nol busa yaro men ne kana na alambaro la patiyonta kabula ita o nyama so nga continue comme kibaro nyum fan kono e mem fuje ko bantala ding Gambia ding le mesirim banta men be ko kafufula ka foy civil society organization le kumandro ken na katre fay kodala ko NPP ye suspend ye bali kana lo nyin katre fay men kanata ani ye janjan roke la deputy men ye nominate ye o janjang ya bonde buko nyin kon ka continue kibaro nyin na iko nyin men kafta nyomate nyin civil society kafufulol tem men be ko right to know comme kela nyanto long aning fanang comme nyin coalition me ka foten Gambia aning Democratic Union ka foy duka olel kafta nyoma ye doko di Independent Electoral Commission wolen na karte fay kodla la ko isnana na ye nyunu lallo bay membe ko National People's Party Adam Barola patiyonin ala deputy olten ya janjang ila deputy la nomination ya be janjang comme en lefta kalo deputy karte fawo nyinna candidato nyin bari muneketa ko ñun mu patiyo men yanda mitimba kuman la ka nyaton kol tombong anin ke la patiyo la kol yitande e felta e make ka me congresso nim patiyo lota nae sanji fulo si nyanta ka obengo ke o hani o kola nin sanji fulo batala kota ke fanan nyanta ka kota kuta ande kota ke komen na katre fay luwa men ya dida kuke wole itan imoke eko niajibe ñunu kafta nyoma ye kibaro men bonde eprekaro men ba konta telisawa men inadna na nyin kibaro nyin leto ya futandi ya atre so sabe kada IEC la kiaman kia pasino la memo la nyaton ko fonte ali momor njay ko nyin grupo nyin be nyin itan lako men be ko the right to know comme kela nyanto long la kafunyo mo lote nin ka futandro ke kula membe ko control ite fangala anin compliment ke jay ko you and the commission walam IEC ten comme diamu kangata fangala nala commission onyin ko yin safero men ketem kata niaji be ko la membe ko of partnership comme kafunyo ala ko den ala ko pamena partnership with the aim comment on hamo mentron pro ka nyoma ko pro niaji be pro commission onyin asinana na ku keno membe betiala ye do ko men diala sako nyin wato men ba ko na be wato be kolarinten kumata ka men critical time men wato men kumata de as the Gambia hits comment signing olum Gambia fele a nyatling deputy carte file lela ka continue ko ilayin kuma kan ko na me yitande kote Mr. Kiaman olum sirantio na carte file ko rangendo comme ka fenke membe kala excellent comme ka funyame a wisom expression la karola doku ila du no membe kan of upholding ka kol muta membe ko aninka kol tamandi ni hagibe loi legal mandate men anin tandrinya la kol men mo nyanta ka ala doku londe so beya men ka integrity o men ila doku nyin imanyana ka fe ala freng nyanta ka muta ko la doku wala mu to isnana todia sota akono comme anin fanan fair play yetilin whole tema ako nyimo fenati cannot be overstated ni mutaitan dinola katambi comme ni ajibe ay même foto ni man nyunuke ko we realize ngayin lonko ni ajibe dunola membe ko ye men dila pour mon nadon by the constitution wala constitution wala kango kang anin fanan loi kotangol la membe kering nyin doku kono the framework and fanankaje ko that legalize me loi di ko its existence comme wilayin doku nyin na soto nyin na karol ko it is in this regard comme nyin membe den nyin ko fangala ko membe nyin kono ko in lanyin kafoten membe ko ila nyanto kalong ka mena right to know nin coalition no nyin kafunyo mo lote membe ko Gambia ibla fita yenyin kanu ko puru ka je ko to inkwa from kabo nyini altol lain commission on yimbul asto komen kaje ko why it has turned komen muna tinna ibin nyini galeba muna tinna ye nyata ya busy truth pro kola membe ko luatinya la karola na karte file lual men yede da kuke ko do kotangol men ye oketa membe ko NPP party yonyin komen na mansa kunda president ba kunna santeng ala party yonyin ka mena incumbent ye nyakasi ye tinyaro menke na katre file lual men ka continue ko nyin president wala nyin party memo NPP ti ya safe na katre file korda nyinto abring alota ka keko komen afana nyanda kala political party yolti komen Gambia banko kan December karo tiltan sabanin kilo 2019 sound onda komen ite membe sirin de yin katre fay kordato ibulo kono anim fanan alla stampo komen ka song komen yin akata patiol tisai ko jibe kabrin sanji dantan sanji obotola a year prior komen kabrin sanji obotala yo very office itlang office kilo nyim fang na kuma laban bondi komen purmon na drone all existing parties comme patiol men be sirin Gambia bank ko kan WAATO la ko inyanta ka bem ba kuma ni ka me congresso pro isela patiol long kan itande anin ka nyaton kol to mon ka itande jama dun kew mol bela meme ko Gambia dingol bari otherwise risks being suspended for violation comme dinatna na jefanan ko dol aliye wala patiol suspend comme wolle luwala tinya membe ko na election luwanying most parties patiol men dol natna na sotono men to fall into compliance comme bari wol e kolle timmanne ko be kola di National Convention Party member ko NCP idandro ko to yo very office elain office kilo nyime to be siranga kunate fell afoul of the warning coming not na dandalaro di nyim party yola member ko NCP anim fanan kola la mo inat na party yin ta yela do ko londi ka ke party di Gambia bank ko kan January karo tilitang anin seola ye ibali pour ka ke kela do ko ke Gambia bank ko kan 2019 sang kono bari imang kulle ka nyama nyanta ka men ka nyama olem kom nyin congresso men ka foten ka continue ako we would also wish kumbel melafila na ke hakilo bulandi IEC wala nginti drong na katre fay korda ko sango kono membe ko 2016 aliye patio disqualified member ko National Democratic Action Movement NDAM anim fanan Gambia Democratic Party GDP men sai atla nyaton ko kata presidential advisor di nin party do fanan member ko nin ADAM in be aliye disqualified 2016 carte fawmen tambita ten arambaro la man sai asota men kono ko imang ko le timman for the same infraction wala luatinya bunda kilong men ken nakatre fay luanyento ko nyinatna na komen ali keso leodete kolla membe ko nyajibe sectional la karola na bankola loi bunda me marle nyin katre fay kole ka fo bi keme mon anin gorowla na election act nyimeng luamen de data anim fanan kanana ka kaito safe ka itanni nying patio la ko aliye ila kol londile kome ka mena suspend son kome membe ko NCP kome wala munta drong atinyin ku kilomen ka foten membe ko unified congress o me nyanda ka ila patio mol be kafun nyoma kabo bankola ngin tundu warawlo be kan karre fay tundol be kan fana anana ka nyaton kol tombong aninka lord la patio nyina so aliye suspend wala karwor so me itan ni kandro munatin la Adam Barrow la NPP almaw luwa kilomita aliyo fana busawal continue be nginin karo ke kan sai kuma kolla membe ko why kuma munatin na altol IEC would not also almaitan dro ke kolla kuma ka mena consistency katara loring ku kilon kan men albata mandi kan do kodon la karola ka tamandi do kodon dol fana karo kuma al yellow kamuna nalmo yitan anin fanan pro rules olmen tamandri nyalla ko la recognition men ye sarrol men be laring ne ajibe comme on other parties comme alimen tamande party koton kan have also flouted comme fanam quality ko luwala tinya mem kita ko amendment dola act nyin comme party ol men yo tinya almala ol kan wolbe ko membe ko Adam Barrow la party ko President Adam Barrow la party NPP has never held in manang congresso ke kabri ilalo ni santema ko nyin kuma kan nyin we write this in our letter comme yeyun itande la letter kono letter men ya safe October karo tilmuang anin konon to la nim fanan yeyun fuko that the regulation comme lual membe sartol membe laring abi itandri nyame niaji be the most comme kolla within kono sanji fulo kono men nyanda kake oda kolla membe ko on so very things comme kujama be je men nyanda kake sanji fulo kono where said about us in your half-hearted rebuttal comme yitan drole ke comme kolla etla ke la juso nyin comme talanteo comme kame yitande e kala kilon e ka samba wolto comme rebuttal jisoni mem bela ka continue ko and the same this taskful comme do ko men nyanda ka ake make comme ka jabiro ke kolla membe ko also came from comme mol this taskful response comme jabiro mem botana mobulu membe ko minister mem Marta na kibaro bundala information Ibrahima Silla anim fanan another NPP lucky board comme fanamum NPP la modolati comme ya itan ni karikacho nyaming board statement comme ni statement dol men ya foten ko where comme ni fenati ndrolemu katugo bari not surprising ni manke terema kuti anim fanan that the NPP comme NPP was less than 2 years comme NPP la ko nyim fan ni manke terema kuti ala kodo bari Ning was less than 2 years old comme ning kol keta nyame fon among taminong sanji fulola ning kola karol ka tenten comme ya itandi wala nyama comme statement o comme insult men ka foten among diglate kudo o among terem makute anim fanan that the NPP was less than 2 years old comme masafo man sanji fulo kumfa o atol. The NPP has now surpassed coming NPP nyum sai itambita niajibe sanji fulo yo kongale bari karmon aninani ila lonin santema utimatal nin kuma kandol finda janni ba fala abe sanji fulo complete but sai yaje ko sanji fulo kumfatale santen NPP la lonin santem hani bi imang nyim bemba ke gaf me kongreso ko nyim mu fenneti luwatinya balam ni nata na karte fao nyina luwal men yededa ka continue ka tinyaro ki IEC la karola fanan ka song pour mon adrong men luwa manta pour ka jeko kata ka balandrong ko la men statement ya itandi nyame nyanta kamenke balanta wala luwa la karol ko IEC lonko NPP mang kongreso ke hani bi inadna na ka song ka ila patiola deputola nomination ka ta pour National Assembly election men kanade ko IEC beyin kalamta kan ko President Adama Barrow la patio NPP annamanan kongreso ko kabring ila patio nyin soto da Gambia banko ka yet hansai itata na ka yelema ki kodi luwa men yanta ka tame kan ke nyabiti truch imansong ka kutamandi jeta on the nationwide presidential campaign yo fanga ba be ke kantem fanga te incumbent nye meng amake fengo fen kam puruga chikandro ke WAATO la as chance sutno puru katre fao la victory la karola kome as kanye no nyame ngin deputy katre fao men kanate unwantedly abusing kome nyimu feneti ko imonke fengo fente puru abetinyaro le ke kalanda tambo ni nata bankola soto fengo nyinna kome with impunity kome nyo jibe rong alia sansang ko nyinna mote kuno la jetal buka diamu ala hanibi ka kontinue IEC was awa yayin kalamta ko kulmen be sotoring nina ta gibe men mam betiay ka men anomalies yet was accomplished coming men be sotoring in ko kono men man ta silole man betia IEC coming idaba ko kono in assistant coming makoyro la karola ni agibe ka NPP ke makoy pour ka tinyaro ke munna sartom nen be laring nina ta gibe na katre fay election admin ye falindro kala sai membe lori ko these are the same laws coming in mu atingin law kilon to coming IEC has used coming yin law kilon leta ka model butiala less powerful coming patiol men man sembo soro and pati new thing ni agibe watul men tamitanu ko be ko kabiring it comes coming kabira nada patibala karola membuko particularly those belonging to the incumbent olam in patio memfang mbala kumo fokante membuko NPP men president mesirin wole tamu ko nying luwa nying aman tamandi nyala anyanta ka tamandi nyamen ya tamandi nyakotel wala yedo bute yaro minna do yawo ko ke eman sonka butel because of munen atemu incumbent doldi comme yew fanan itandi ko nyagi be statement on kono la kuma kan kono na tenden ka itandro ko IEC la moto mayto la itandro mendi la doko mendi comme wolem fair play ka wala be itandring ila moto nyimbala comme ngake fan shooting men ko fair play katelim moltem integrity ita compromise la ila doko ina karol comme ite lala mo kan integrity do kola hormone bunya membe bulu ka ni tol fon la institution la bunya e wala tamandla ninata ka lankena mo ke anim fana which is oddly men amulun jawata baake no longer mentally embossed on your web page comme na ko kumulun jaw fa hani kaitan de fa ila internet bunda ngi do membe ko ila web page ngin seems to have coming itol akamanda ko sai ito law wepe nyim fonga atutu tale nina ta njamala bang dinkrangindo away in the presentation comme pour kaitan roke practice la comme be menki kan ni ata police federal menito land IEC la court of party la karola ni ku ko tan la ko fetale ni agibe dinkrangindo and boast on comme men itan your web page ka continue hanibi ko design thing itolu ibe commandro kila pro itol IEC la ko kufalola sansanteng ye National People's Party for the list comme sakata aduata nyanya kariwor kieta ye suspend National People's Party kanalo na katrefal comment wrong yenyin loi kilong men la ta e party kotongul busala comme yenyin loi men tinya men boko election act nyim ka jib ko nyimu fenedi for violation election amendment comme ye tinyaro leke na election amendment acto nyina wala na le bute o nyam fulanjang katabake kayitan troke ko purumuna all approve application comme molmen be lota candidate NPP toyala député katre fawni na nginan sawala National Assembly pro ya be tutu ya janjang comme amankuma ya kotake bari ye luwala tinya sabanjang katabake kakalam tandroke NPP party union fawna go that it must cease sande mbe tembo mende be koku kega nina da politikola ya be londi fujanni ba fula ebe congresso kala comme na election act ni ya amen aitan yame anim fadan ye kola ko an suspension is lifted comme ninga atra suspension ni natna boka wato menna isnana tamandro ke no ila kol ko failure to do so comme ni boyta manyinke nyimbe kala kuleti men sembo be wara bala be dun koto kala comme credibility wala etol laying institutional la kumaya abe oto undermine abe hakil wis waso samal na jetla comme ni nata election regulator comme men ga na election on nyi to la ka quota ka dai betia and will further instill aminamen dundula molson no mo kono dron wala mo hakil wiswaso be wala dundula jeto hakilol be wiswas la nyiko sanamo be molbe jakalo sotle la kota de nim fanan jama ne ajibe jama besna na hakil fula soto ila kota ni ko nyin men ka fata ni ibarata ka continue kanyin bula lo ka carte fa ta ka contest ka continue hanibi ko nyajibe and the electorate komen katre falalten on the credibility ni nata kolla membe ko kumayala ani ka kolta ki dida ye betia lankena moto komen in April National Assembly pulo la karola ko fanan nyajibe the 6th Assembly be kala karte fayoti pour debitol la karola komen this assembly ala credibility comme ala kumaya be soto la nyamen comme abe kala fenti ben abe credible la molsina lela ko anim fanan ila legitimacy comme a soto ni nyamen comme loi e lon nyamen ila karola comme momoron ning usina na si tarno comme will be forever staying if the IEC refuse coming imbekala kulde o hormone o bunya ning coming luala carola to la credibility National Assembly ning so imbina kala fenneti men ning IEC balanta ka to abide by the laws coming puruka song luala men be na banko kan ni balanta wala rosina je ko imbe hakili wiswas wala samal nang banko dengoli for what jang for I continue forever coming statement to kumakam ya dan damen in yemen safi so mbarum be in segmento dan yana because almost how many minutes we have 1 hour 14 minutes and that's the maximum or very few units maybe 1 unit we will be overriding of our limit. So we will stop here for the meantime, but we have already highlighted the headlines and in Mandinka and in English too. So the two stories we have read or three rather, all is concerning about the election. So from now on, we call it a day until next time. So say ciao, bye from now on.